All right, let's get into it. We're about to connect some dots here on a story that, believe it or not, starts with something we can all get behind, keeping kids safe. But it ends up in a place, well, you probably won't see it coming.
So let's kick things off with a question. And honestly, it's going to sound a little nuts. I mean, can you imagine needing to whip out your driver's license, your actual ID, just to see if it's going to rain tomorrow?
Well, here's the thing. This isn't some far-off hypothetical, because in Texas, this is about to become reality. Starting January 1st, 2026, a new law there is going to require age verification for every single new account you make on an app store.
So how in the world did we get here? Well, what's happening in Texas isn't happening in a vacuum. It's actually part of a much bigger global trend. And to really get it, we've got to look halfway across the world to Australia, where the blueprint for all of this is being laid out right now.
And this isn't something they're just flipping a switch on. It's a whole multi-year plan. It kicks off with a big National Digital ID Act. From there, it moves to banning social media for kids under 16. And then, get this, by the end of 2025, even search engines, we're talking Google, are going to require age verification if you're logged in.
Okay, but the big question is, how do you actually do that? How do you prove you are who you say you are online? Well, the government's laid out a few ways. You've got the straightforward stuff like, uploading a picture of your passport, but then it gets way more high-tech. We're talking about AI that analyzes your face to guess your age, or even digs into your search history and your online behavior to make an educated guess. Seriously.
So that naturally leads to the next big question, right? Who's actually building all this tech? Who's holding on to all this super sensitive data? Because, spoiler alert, it's not just the government. There's a whole network of private companies out there building the plumbing for this whole new digital world.
And that brings us to a company called AU106. You might not have heard of them, but they are a huge player in this game. They have this technology they call digital twins. And what is that? Well, it's basically a super detailed digital and biometric profile of you. Think of it like a digital ghost built from your ID documents and scans of your face.
And if you're thinking, okay, so what? Take a look at this. Their reach is absolutely massive. These guys aren't some tiny startup. They're the ones providing the identity verification plumbing for some of the biggest names on the internet. Anytime you have to prove who you are on X or LinkedIn or even PayPal, chances are you're using their tech.
Now, with all that sensitive data, you'd think security would be absolutely bulletproof, right? Trust is everything. But here's the kicker. A recent report found that AU10 ticks left an admin login completely unsecured for 18 months, a year and a half, potentially exposing the private identity info of millions of users on all those platforms we just mentioned.
Okay, so let's zoom back out for a second. Because this idea, this sort of digital driver's license for the internet, it's not just an Australian story. Not by a long shot. This exact framework is popping up all over the Western world.
Right, so we started in Australia. They've got the whole national system for social media and even search engines.
Then we jumped over to Texas, where they're taking that exact same logic and applying it to every single app you download.
Then you've got the UK. Their Online Safety Act has pretty much the same requirements. In fact, it's so broad that some officials in Washington have been privately calling it, and I quote, Orwelly.
And it doesn't stop there. Up in Canada, new cybersecurity legislation, Bill C-8, has a little provision in it that's got civil liberties groups really worried. It could let the government secretly order a telecom company to just cut off your phone or internet service, a power that becomes way, way easier to use when everyone's got a verifiable digital ID tied to their name.
So you see the pattern here? The goal they always talk about is safety, right? Protecting kids. And that sounds great. But the consequence, what's actually being built, is a global system that links your government ID to literally everything you do online, from social media to your bank account. It's a classic trade-off. What starts as a tool for protection can very quickly become a tool for control.
And this brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. And honestly, it might be the most worrying part of all, because this digital identity infrastructure isn't just about controlling what you can buy. It's also the ultimate tool for controlling what you think.
There was this former KGB defector, Yuri Bezmenov, and he said something pretty shocking. He said that 85% of the KGB's work had nothing to do with spying. It was all about something called active measures. Basically, a slow 4-stage psychological attack designed to rot a country from the inside out. First you demoralize them, then destabilize, then you create a crisis, and finally, you normalize a whole new reality.
Well, that old playbook, it's now gone digital. It's automated. Right now, the internet's relative anonymity offers some protection, but imagine a world where everyone has a mandatory digital ID. Suddenly speaking out gets a lot riskier. And it becomes incredibly easy to target specific people for influence campaigns or for suppression. And this isn't theoretical. We're already seeing it. Just look at the DOJ report from 2024 about a Russian campaign that was paying American influencers up to $100,000 per video just to spread propaganda.
And this is where it all comes full circle, right back to mass surveillance. It's like what the NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden always warned about. That old argument, I don't care about privacy because I have nothing to hide, it completely misses the point. The tools we build to watch our enemies abroad always get turned back on us at home.
So at the end of the day, here's the bottom line. This massive global infrastructure that's being built, supposedly just to check your age so you can download an app, it's the very same infrastructure that can be used to control what you're allowed to say, what you're allowed to buy, and maybe even what you're allowed to think. And that leaves us with a pretty critical question to chew on.